All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Extra Innings Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah Rodriguez, and we're back today on a Monday. Ooh, fresh week, new week. A lot of crazy things happening this weekend in baseball, I'd say. We had Max Scherzer come back for the first time since October 30th, 2023, which I honestly wasn't sure he was going to pitch this year, to be 100% honest with you. And then I saw that he was like, I never saw anything about any minor league outings or anything, but we are going to talk about him. But first, on my first order of business, we have to talk about the Yankees. Oh, man, the Yankees. Where do I start? Okay, so the Yankees have now lost 3 straight series. One to the Red Sox, one to the this past weekend to Atlanta, and then as well to the Orioles. It's funny. I made a video. So, the Orioles obviously last week had a big series against the Yankees where they took that series. And I made a video on socials. I'm a Yankee fan. I think I say that a lot, so it should be pretty obvious. But people were like, oh my God. Because I was like, look, if you look on paper, the Orioles are a great team. They have a lot of great talent. But if you put the Orioles next to the Yankees, star power to star power, I mean, bat for bat, I mean, yes, some stats are better than others in some situations. It really, with these two teams, it depends what day you look. Because guys are up and down, bouncing back and forth that are really within points of each other. But at the same time, I still thought on Friday, as I'm reading and looking, the Yankees seemed like the better team. And as up to that point, they had been playing like the better team, right? So I make the video saying I still think the Yankees are a better team. People came unglued. A lot of Orioles fans were like, oh my God, what do we have to do to be the better team than the Yankees? We've been doing this for 2 years now, really one, but whatever. I take everything on the internet with a grain of salt. And I'm like, okay, yes, the Orioles are good. I never said that they weren't good. Never said that the Orioles just weren't a good club, because that'd be ridiculous to me to say. The Orioles are a fantastic club right now. But kind of moving away from that, I kind of had to stop and sit back after this past weekend and say, shit, are the Orioles a better fucking team than the Yankees? I don't know. I still don't think that to be the case. But it's been, these last 3 series have been tough. They've been kind of hard to watch. I mean, you got some guys that are just not playing well. You like Rizzo, you lost Rizzo, then we lost Stanton. Which honestly gives Grisham more at bats and more chance to play. And Grisham's been hot, especially with when he was there for that Dodgers series and just went off with when Judge was out. So that's big. Great defender, clutch hitter, so can't be upset about that. They bring up Ben Rice, who looks like he was supposed to be a piece for Rizzo, who looks extremely comfortable out there. So good to watch there. And then you also have they just made a trade for JD Davis. I mean, I'm not sure why that was. I mean, a cheap piece to get, and he's okay batting against lefties, I guess. Still not quite sold on that. Are they planning on are they going to platoon, kind of go switch spots, Ben Rice and JD Davis at first? That's the only thing. Why would you bring up Ben Rice and then trade for JD Davis like days later? Like, was Ben Rice just a piece to fill in until you got Davis? It's weird. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm not saying JD Davis is bad by any means. He's not like horrible. I mean, he's not like the piece that you're like, oh my God, we got JD Davis. It is what it is. I'm kind of just like, I mean, I guess we could use him. The Yankees could use him. I mean, whatever, I guess. But yeah, so kind of a weird spot. I think the Yankees are in a weird position. Carlos Rodon went out Saturday or Friday. I think it was Friday, got shelled. Stroman didn't have a great night on Saturday. Yesterday, Nestor did okay. So not great pitching wise. Obviously, the hitting wasn't there. They lost 3-1. They faced Max Fried. Max Fried had a great night. So, it's like the Braves are a good squad. They're injury riddled as well. Had some tough skids these last couple weeks. But put it together. I mean, Max Fried showed up, man. I mean, Max Fried flirted with perfection, I think, for like 6 innings or something like that. So it's like these guys, and we're going to talk about, there were so many good pitching performances this weekend. It's not even funny. But so the Yankees, I don't know what's going to happen. Do you panic? Do you freak out? Yankee fans are so up and down. I like to say that I'm pretty even killed for the most part. I'm not freaking out. I'm not like overly positive saying, "Oh, I'm not even going to worry about it." Some guys are like, "Oh, it's just," Nestor had a interview apparently post game yesterday and was like, "Oh, we're not worried. You play 162," and that's normally my ideology. You play 162, you're going to drop some. You're going to mess some up here and there. But at the same time, that you can't help but think, okay, this is getting weird. You skid on one series, maybe two, but now we're on three. You skidded on three different series. So I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, pitching has not been a highlight for him, especially the bullpen. DJ LeMahieu has not been playing well. I don't know what they got to do to get him going. He's, combined for 78 WRC plus going into Sunday. Rizzo's on the 60-day, but at the same time, he wasn't doing really much either. So that's why I told you guys, I was like, well, Rizzo's going down, but honestly, it's like he hasn't been doing much for us anyway. So the bullpen is one thing I will note was pretty lackluster. So Clay in the last, these are their leaders in the bullpen. So you got Clay Holmes at a 2.45 ERA. Then we go Caleb Ferguson 5.47, Luke Weaver 2.62, Victor Gonzalez, who just got DFA'd by the way, was at a 3.86. Ian Hamilton is 4.55, went on the IL and won't be ready till maybe August. And then Dennis Santana, who's 6.26 and got DFA'd on June 9th. So not good. I mean, that's not very good. Two of the guys that even be DFA'd, they're not even on the freaking roster anymore. That's who's leading in innings pitched for the Yankees for the bullpen. Yeah, I don't know. Do we panic? No, I don't. I don't think you panic. I don't think you panic. Do I think that the Yankees are going to have to drop a little bit in these power rankings they've been tearing up? And maybe am I going to have to say right now that the Orioles are a better ball club? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Orioles are right now as we're playing a better ball club. Though I think that only, but at the same time, they just got swept by the Astros, who have been on a massive struggle bus. Baseball is weird, man. Baseball is weird. So I'm still kind of split here. I'm just going to leave it as is. Maybe the Orioles are better on certain days, Yankees better on certain days. I don't know, but that seemed to be a pretty hot topic to people. So, but anyway, yeah, the Yankees are going to. It's going to be interesting these next couple weeks. Missing a couple pieces. Pitching's going to have to be better. Grisham's going to be in there, so maybe that sparks a little bit. He's a big stick sometimes in some key situations. He can play really good defense, so maybe not a bad deal. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. But in other news, we have Max Scherzer, who returned from the first time since. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. I want to find a stat line. Yeah, so Max Scherzer pitched for the first time since it was October 30th, 2023. So last postseason when he pitched that one game for the World Series. I haven't seen much on Max Scherzer, to be honest. I thought he was maybe one guy that we were just going to kind of write off. Just be like, I don't know if he'll be back this year. Let me see if I can find something real quick. Let me see. I want to look at some stats. All right, let's see. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. Oh, early this Monday. Anyway, so Max Scherzer hadn't pitched. He was hurt a lot last year. Didn't pitch for a good chunk of the season, which is why it was so weird that the Rangers were pushing so hard for him to come back in the postseason last year. When I was kind of like, okay, it's the postseason. Do you really want to run out a guy who's barely got any innings this year? And they did, and he didn't have an awful outing. It wasn't really good, but it wasn't awful. I'm talking about the postseason last year. And then obviously, I'm sorry, I think it was like maybe the NLCS he came in to pitch, and then he didn't pitch in the World Series. He was hurt. So he pitched that game, and then we didn't see him again. And luckily, the Rangers ended up winning the World Series, adding another ring to Max. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then he had back spasms, neck issues, then he had a thumb issue. So I was like, are we even going to see Scherzer? Then all of a sudden, boom, he's ready. And I get it. Max Scherzer's a freak. He's a freak in nature. We've known this. He's a massive competitor. Obviously, being in the league for as long as he has and being able to play for as long as he has, you have to be, kind of a savage out there, and that's kind of what he was. Yeah, pretty legit. 3-time Cy Young. I didn't know he had 3 of them. Anyway, had a great outing. Let me find his stat line. Yeah, so he had 5 innings pitched. Obviously wasn't going to pitch very long. Obviously, first game back. I'm sure his pitch count was fairly low. I'm sure it wasn't going to be that high. 5 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. So a little bit of a different kind of Max that we're accustomed to seeing, especially if you go back a couple years. You know, Max Scherzer used to be that swing and miss guy, blow power. Looks like he's kind of tailoring more towards a like ground ball pop up approach. Only got 4 strikeouts in 5 innings. Obviously, probably still working on some kinks. You know, we're not going to sit here and say that that's everything. Probably going to still work out some kinks. Got to get more comfortable on the mound. But for the first time back, that's exciting for Rangers fans. And not only that, I mean, yeah, John Gray, who's pitched fairly well, you know, these past couple outings as well. I mean, he just pitched good this weekend too. Yeah, on I want to say Friday. It was a Friday or Saturday he pitched. 6 innings pitched. This is John Gray. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Another guy who's pitching really well to contact, a lot of ground balls, a lot of pop-ups, getting a lot of outs and pitching in some big spots. He's got a 3.03 ERA, so that's pretty damn good, man. I'm not gonna lie, that's really good. So the Yankees, the Rangers have some stuff to be happy about, man. You got Gray who's pitching well. You just got Scherzer back. Hopefully he can stay healthy. You know, Wyatt Langford's back. They've been winning some ball games, so it's exciting to see because they had a tough schedule. I mean, for a while they were the league leading in injuries, guys on the IL. So for them to kind of inch back a little bit, it's exciting. It's exciting to see. I'm excited to see Max Scherzer. I love watching Max Scherzer pitch. I've been a fan of his because he's been in the league since his days with Detroit. You know, so I'm a fan of Max Scherzer. Although I wasn't a fan of them rushing him back last year in the postseason because I just did not have any confidence in him. I was like, yeah, he hasn't pitched at all. He's been hurt. There was stuff with dead arm, forearm issue, whatever. He had all kinds of shit going on last year. And I was like, you know, I, I was just nervous as hell last year for him. I just didn't want that legacy. I'm very protective in my head of like people's legacies in the game. And I'm like, I don't think you're ready, but obviously you're not going to gatekeep guys. If they say they're ready, these are grown ass men, they're athletes, they're going to go out. And he had, like I said, last year he had an okay start, but I am honestly excited and I'm happy to see that he came out and shoved this past weekend. I think he needed it. The Rangers needed it. So good for them, man. Good for them. The Rangers, hopefully y'all can kind of piece something together. Obviously they're having the lowest year they've had with Bruce Bochy as manager. 37-40. So not off from 500. Like it's not horrible. It's not a whole wash yet. But you know these guys can still kind of get something going, man. You know they've got a good enough team to do that. And Simeon, Seager, you know they'll have Young back here in a couple weeks. I'm hoping, you know, Gray, Scherzer, and then next year they'll have DeGrom again. So hey, the Yankees. Why do I keep talking about the Yankees? I don't know if it's because I'm tired. The Yankees are just on my mind, man. I don't know, but the Rangers have enough talent to do something this year, and I'm telling you this. I mean it now. I wouldn't quite kick them out of the talks yet. 37-40, only like 6 games back from 500. Nothing's quite crazy yet. We're still in the latter half of June. Wouldn't count the Rangers out yet. If they can get some pieces back and get something rolling like they did last year, they're a good team, man. They're a strong team. Like we've seen that. We've seen in the past, and it's not a big deviation from last year. Honestly, besides the loss of Montgomery, maybe a couple pieces in the outfield here and there, maybe some guys underperforming, not playing quite to where they were last year, but that can flip. Everybody knows that stuff can flip in a second. So don't count out them Rangers, man. I'm telling you. But let's look at some, honestly, before we get into my other, I got 2 more topics to talk about. But some of these pitching performances this weekend were fucking phenomenal, guys. Like, I'm not even kidding. We had 2 different flirts with perfection. Severino last night on Sunday Night Baseball pitched phenomenal. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts against the Cubs. Assad didn't quite have it, give a back-to-back home runs, and I think the 3rd inning. So he was just a little bit shakier, which he's been nails up to this point. I watched that game last night. I hadn't really watched Assad pitch much. He looks like Jonah Hill on the mound. It's kind of funny, like super bad era Jonah Hill. It's pretty funny, but I haven't watched him. I've watched a couple highlights of him. He's got a lot of movement, throws that cutter, that sinker action. He's nasty, man. That dude's nasty. The thing that makes him interesting is I haven't seen a lot of guys that have that late break that he has. It's kind of crazy. He has that swing and miss. He misses a lot of barrels, a lot of bats. So just didn't have it yesterday. Just leaving too many balls. I think he was nipping too much at the zone a bit. And then obviously had to work himself inside, and that's where he got hurt a little bit. People were saying it was a little bit on the umpire, not giving him corners, didn't know where to work. I can understand that, but at the same time, we got to make adjustments. Adjustments weren't made, and he just didn't really show up. But Severino was nice last night. That's for sure. Severino came out and pitched. But we'll talk about the Edwin Diaz debacle here in a little bit. We have to talk about that. Did see that. Pablo Lopez, a guy who's really dominated these last couple of years. It struggled, a lot this the beginning of this year. Not the same guy last year. He was dominant last year. I remember watching, when the Astros drew the Twins, and I remember watching him pitch, and I was like, this guy needs to get traded. He needs to go play somewhere else because the Twins were still struggling. They're still a good team, but I think that he could. I thought maybe Pablo would do bigger things. And hopefully that happens still because I think he's a great pitcher. Just had a kind of a tough start to the year, but last night he was awesome. 8 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 14 strikeouts. Wow. That's a lot of strikeouts. So Pablo Lopez, hell of an outing there. Framber Valdez, another guy who really had a great outing. 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, quite a bit of hits. Not too bad, though. 1 earned run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. So Framber, great outing. We just talked about Max. Sonny Gray, another guy had a great outing. Flirted with perfection through 6. Another guy did awesome. Almost perfect. 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 0 walks, 8 strikeouts. Another one. Oh, we just keep rolling. I'm telling you guys, this was a weekend of pitching. Max Fried, 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Another guy who's fallen back into his rhythm, really figuring it out again. Paul Skeens again pitched yesterday. 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. So Skeens, obviously, what do you expect less from Skeens? But yeah, some great pitching performances this past weekend, guys. Even had Bailey Ober do pretty well. 9 innings pitched, went to CG. 89 pitches, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts. Then you had Logan Gilbert, 8 innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. So, and then we're not even going to talk about Ronell shoved. Zach Wheeler shoved. So there was a lot of great outings this weekend. If you didn't watch baseball, there were some gems that were to be watched. Check out those highlights, man. These guys, I'm a fan of watching great pitching. I can sit down and watch beautiful pitching, beautiful sequencing all day long. I think that's the most satisfying shit to watch. I will watch that all day long. So good pitching matchup. You got guys that go to ball games and like, it was just a pitcher's duel. It was boring. I'm like, that shit is fun to watch. I don't know what you're talking about. I can watch guys like this shove all day long. But in other news, we have, why am I watching that? All right. So Edwin Diaz gets tossed yesterday before throwing a pitch. That was kind of a big deal. Ever since they started doing the foreign substance check, there's only been probably less than 10 people ejected. Obviously, Scherzer was ejected a couple years back. Ranger Suarez was thrown out. Ronel Blanco thrown out earlier this year. And now our latest victim to the foreign substance is Edwin Diaz, who has struggled this year to find his own and find his place with the Mets, whether that was in the closer role, whether that was in a setup guy, 7th, 8th guy. He has just not been able to be himself. Obviously not the trumpet man we grew accustomed to loving before that World Baseball Classic, which I feel like he hasn't been the same since that whole thing with the World Baseball Classic where he celebrated and broke his fucking leg or whatever happened. I can't remember. I'm blanking on the injury. Missed all of 2023, came back this year. We're hoping to see that same Edwin Diaz. I watched a lot of his offseason stuff, his bullpens coming back. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked like Edwin Diaz, and then he just got to the league, and maybe the league, figured it out. I don't know, but he did not look like himself. But last night, getting tossed looked like, I saw the pictures. I can't really tell from the video. It looks like pine tar and rosin on his hand. It's got like a really dark tone to it on his hand with the white, like he put some rosin on it. It's pretty. There's something, and he didn't even really argue it, so he kind of knew. And I don't know, maybe the man's been struggling so much he thought he needed a little bit extra. He's just like, fuck it, I'm been getting rocked anyway. Let me just try something different, shake it up. But yeah, I don't quite know what that was about. But yes, Edwin Diaz getting it tossed yesterday without throwing a pitch for foreign substance. So, and like I said, if you guys want to watch the video, let me know what you guys think it was. It really, in my opinion, looked like pine tar and rosin. But anyway, the Astros, so our last topic of the day. Obviously, I know that Blue Jays guy, I don't really want to talk about that just because simply I don't know a lot about the situation. There's still a lot of stuff coming out. And just for anybody who doesn't know, I'm just going to touch on the topic just to say that we talked about it, though I don't have a whole lot of information on it. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? Yes. So the Blue Jays' number 2 prospect, Orelvis Martinez, kind of been an up and down kind of guy, has now been suspended. I think they said for 80 games. I think it was 80 games effective immediately for failing a drug test for performance enhancing drugs. He says that he was trying to start a family with his wife over the off season. So he was taking apparently some medications or some whatever he was taking to help, I guess, help with fertility or help with something, whatever that was. Whatever he was taking, whatever he was trying to do, obviously popped him on the drug test. He says he was trying to start a family. Whatever quote unquote performance drugs you're taking, brother, I don't know. But yeah, so he got ejected. Got suspended for 80 games. I don't quite know a lot. I'm sure we'll get more details as this goes. Obviously, I don't know if they've appealed, if they're planning to appeal. The Blue Jays say he made a mistake. They didn't seem very remorseful in that, saying, hey, he's going to have to pay the price for what he did. So the Blue Jays haven't said much, not really backing. So we'll know more within the week. Obviously, as these things happen, more and more details are up. So we'll just wait and see. I don't have a whole lot of information other than that. I'm not very versed in Blue Jays farm system to really know much about the guy, besides the fact that I know that he's an up and down guy, been up and down for a while. Number 2 prospect, 80 games sucks for anyone because that's going to bleed probably into next year a little bit. Maybe. No, probably not. He'll be back maybe late August, September-ish maybe. I'm not going to do the math on it, but yeah, so we will see. We will see what's going to happen there. Well, if anything more comes of it, we will talk about it. But as right now, whatever. But our last topic to talk about today are the Astros, because the Astros are picking it up. They just swept. This is why I was reluctant to talk about the whole thing with the Orioles and the Yankees, because I everyone's arguing that the Orioles are the best team in baseball, right? They're arguing with me saying, because I said the Yankees were the best in the AL, especially in the AL East. The Yankees are the best team, and everyone's like, oh my God, or at least Orioles fans, we're so good. What do we have to do to be good? You just got swept by the Astros, who are 38-40. I mean, everyone has bad weekends, and everyone is shunning me, saying, oh, so the Yankees have a bad week, blah, blah. Sounds super biased. Well, they did, and it looks like you had a bad weekend, bro. Fucking getting swept by the Astros. So the Astros have picked up their game. So we've talked about this. The Astros have now won 5 straight games. Ronel Blanco pitched a gem yesterday. Continues to really pitch well for them and show up for them, except for that one blunder of foreign substance shit he had going, which we'll wash because he's still been nails ever since. But the Astros are picking it up, man. They're getting hot. This is what people were worried about. And this is, I think, what a lot of people that were talking were like, I'm not worried about the Astros. Can't argue with history. Yes, they got off to a bad start. Yes, they had quite a few injuries. Yes, their pitching is very paper fucking thin. But their lineup is too fucking hot to disregard. Jose Abreu. Well, Jose Abreu was part of it. I'm sorry. Jose Altuve. Kyle Tucker, when Kyle Tucker gets back in there. Jeremy Pena, Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez. So they're a stacked lineup. They're a stacked lineup. And I still think that history's on their side, man. I think once these guys get hot, they fall into a groove. It's all off, man. I think the Astros are going to be you don't want to fuck with the Astros when they get hot. And we've seen that year after year after year after year. You can't just disregard them because they'll sneak up on your ass. But yeah, Astros 5 straight wins. They swept the Orioles, so that's a big series for them, for a team that's been playing like the Orioles. For the Astros to sweep them, that's a big boost of motivation, a big boost of momentum. That's important. But we will see where they're at, man. I'm interested to see where the Astros kind of keep playing and where this little journey takes them, because I'm a Texas guy. I'm not an Astros fan by any means. They've grown on me within these last couple of years since the whole cheating debacle. Yes, the Astros have grown on me. But I still as good as they are, this dynasty that they built, they're still a fun team to watch at times. I will say that. I'm not as much of a hater. I don't wouldn't say I cheer for them the most out of anybody, but they got some players that I like to watch. So I will say that. And obviously Justin Verlander's a legend. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. They got a lot of great guys. So I'm excited to see what happens here. This will be cool. I think that they're going to creep above 500. They're slowly. I remember I talking about it, they were like 30-40. Then it was like 34-40. Then it was like 35-40. And now we're at 38-40. They're creeping back on that line. So We will see. But thanks again for listening, guys. I appreciate you guys who are tuning in and listening to this. This is fun. I love doing this, talking about baseball and talking with you guys in the comments about it. But be sure to follow us on TikTok, on Instagram. We got a lot of short form content. I say that every time. And again, we will catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks for listening.